Is there Sharia law in America? I'm Anne-Marie.
I'm Janique.
I'm Jan.
And I'm Bill.
And we're going to discuss the Islamization of America on today's episode of
PolitiChicks.
Although you won't hear it in the mainstream media, there's a growing movement to impose Islamic Sharia law right here in America. People who do talk about it are accused of being Islamophobes. But that doesn't stop some Americans from taking a bold stand to raise awareness to this growing problem. Jan Morgan and Bill Whittle are two very outspoken activists who've taken these bold stands in all they do. So welcome. So happy to have you guys here. Jan, on your Facebook page, Jan has almost 100,000 followers on Facebook, mostly because you have taken that bold stand, trying to inform people about Sharia. You and Pamela Geller are kind of two of the main people.
But understand that while there may be almost 100,000 people on my Facebook page, I have run off just about that many as well who do not like that message. You know, and probably we should clarify at the beginning of this show, because people think when you start talking about Islam, if you're not promoting it, that there is a hate. They want to call it hate speech toward Islam. And I don't think there's anybody sitting here that feels that way about Islam. And I think there are just as many Muslims out there in America who do not know what is in their Quran, Hadith, and Surah as there are Christians who do not know what is in their Bible. So with that in mind, you know, I think that we need to work on educating the public, and that's what my Facebook page is about, just trying to educate people, not to promote hate speech, but to educate, raise awareness, so we can deal with what is truly a growing problem in this country.
Well, can I ask you about that? One of the things that you actually had on your Facebook page was it said Muslim terrorists have committed 18,393 deadly terror attacks.
Actually, today, as of today, it's 18,423.
Wow.
Yes.
There you go.
It changes daily. There is a website which you ladies have promoted on this show called Religion of Peace, which is a great site for informing people, because those folks there keep up with the numbers on a daily rate basis. And not only do they keep up with the numbers, they also give you the information regarding those attacks. They list specifically where the attack occurred, how many people were killed, how many people were injured. So really, it's the best site I have seen on the internet yet to keep people informed about what is happening around the world.
Can I just share quickly, actually, from the Religion of Peace, just since February 11th, there have been 6 different incidences where people have been killed in Afghanistan, Fallujah, Nigeria, and Yemen. So you're right. I mean, and they post all of that. So it's definitely for your viewing. I think, as you were saying, sometimes people don't really want to know the truth, but it's right there if people will just go and investigate the facts for themselves.
But Bill, we're not going to let you be quiet here just because you're the only guy
I'm enjoying
on
the change.
Let's talk about this. Is, you know, people since 9/11, it's like Americans woke up. We said, "Oh wow, there are people out there who don't like us. Why? What's going on?" I think the majority of Americans were busy living their lives, just taking care of their kids and their families and doing their jobs, and then all of a sudden we're attacked. But really, there is a history here. Since in the 1400-year history of Islam, Islamic terrorists have murdered 270 million people. That is a fact. It's not debatable. It's so 1400-year history of this kind of
you're spewing hate.
So Bill, I want you to address this. We want to hear from you. What do you think? Why is it that throughout history, if Christians were murdering at that rate and had that kind of history, would people be talking about it, or would we be talking about tolerance and let's kind of cover this over? We don't want people to start hating based on the fact that it's a religion.
Well, first of all, the only religion that you can actively attack in America today is Christianity, but put that aside. There are 2 things really to understand about Islam. Islam, I got a briefing from some guys at the Pentagon who were tasked to, right after 9/11, they were tasked to understand this religion that we appeared to be at war with. And they went into this thinking, we're going to find out that as they said, it's a perversion of the religion that is launching all these jihads and so on. But it turns out it's not the perversion. It turns out that jihad is called for. Now, there are many different things here. We don't have time to get into all of them. But for instance, you'll often hear Muslim extremist apologists say, no, these surahs here talk about peace and love and understanding. But what this gentleman found out, what I later found out, was that according to the Quran, there's this idea of abrogation, which means that any surah that's written after a previous surah, it overrules it. And if you look at the history of the Quran as it was written, it got more and more violent, more and more radical, more and more hostile, more and more hate-filled.
In fact, there are 109 verses dictating hate, murder, and terror against all people who will not submit or convert to Islam.
And
that's a fact.
That's right. And all of these most violent surahs or verses came later, which means they overrule any contradictory evidence that says you've got to be...
Well, here's one right here. It says, Muhammad is God's apostle. Those who follow him are ruthless to the unbelievers, but merciful to one another. Quran 48:29.
Here's the fundamental issue. The United States of America is a source of political freedom and economic freedom for people all around the world. People all around the world want to come here, and religious freedom, obviously. So here's what it comes down to. We have laws of the land that are enshrined in the Constitution, and as long as you obey those laws, and those are the laws of the land, then we welcome you here to America to practice your religion in the same way as anybody else. What we won't tolerate in America is the idea that you can bring laws with you that overrule the laws of the land that you're coming to. We won't allow that.
Yes, but we are allowing it, Bill. Look at how many... Islam has infiltrated virtually every branch of government in this country. The judicial branch, look at the number of court cases. Right now, if you just get on the internet, look at the number of court cases in this country where judges are allowing Sharia law to trump constitutional law in cases where Muslims are involved. That is not... Those judges should be removed from the bench. This is a country of constitutional law. We are a constitutional republic. And the fact that you're a Muslim does not mean that you have permission to commit a crime that if you're not a Muslim, you would get the death penalty for.
But, you know, that's an interesting point, because I actually had that conversation with someone on the plane, and they said, yeah, but that's only like 2 or 3 cases.
No.
Well, the Center for Security Policies report, the Sharia law and American state courts have found a total of 50 different cases from 23 different states involving conflict of law between Sharia and American state law. There's 15 at the trial court case level and 12 at the appellate level in addition to that. And what they're finding is, the reality is, it actually says, this is what they said on their site, the facts are the facts. Some judges are making decisions deferring to Sharia law, even when those decisions conflict with constitutional protection.
Islam has been attacking America since the 1700s. That's the reason we have the Treaty of Tripoli. That's the reason why it's not new. They haven't just started hating us now.
There is a documented plan by the Muslim Brotherhood. There is a documented plan that has been discovered by our Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay, that is a plan for the destruction of America from within. It is a 5-phase plan. We are already seeing 4 levels of that plan already underway, implemented. Yeah. So, you know, it's a very serious, and I want to address something before we run out of time, because this is really important to me, all right? Because on my Facebook page, I hear a lot of people who come on when I make a post about Islam, and I always post facts. I don't promote hate speech. I don't promote hatred of Muslims or the Islam religion.
But
what
they
I want to
hate
do, they hate me, yes, I get death threats, it's
Yeah.
awful. But what I want us to do is we've got to educate people so that we can, from an educated, civilized position, address this issue. And we can't address it if people don't realize it's an issue. But I want to say this, because there are a number of people out there who say, oh, but I have Muslim friends and they're so peaceful. They're good people. And yes, there are Muslims in this country, like Dr. Hudi Jazzer, who, he said he didn't know, he didn't realize all of those verses were in the Quran. He wrote a great documentary to watch. It's called The Third Jihad. It's amazing. But the point is, people who, and this is what I tell people who say, oh, but Muslims are peaceful. I have a lot of friends. Yes, there are a lot of peaceful Muslims in this country, but Muslims who are mosque-attending Muslims must participate in something called zakat. And I know you ladies have mentioned this before on the show. That is a mandated form of tithing. It has been proven by our federal government that a portion of that tithe, whether the Muslims who do it know this or not, a portion of that tithe has been used and funneled to support terrorism on American soil. So, really, to me, that makes Muslims who are tithers enablers, even though they may not realize that's what they're doing.
Sure,
so once again, we have to educate people.
Absolutely.
Yep. We sure do. Well, it's been wonderful talking to Bill and Jan today. And be sure and check Religion of Peace and look at Jan Morgan's Facebook page. You'll learn a lot there. And thank you guys for being with us here on PolitiChicks, the right kind of PC.